Are listening to the Rowbo Show on WXRW FM 104.1, River West Radio in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am your host, Mark Robanum, and tonight we're going to delve into something that's quietly reshaping the professional world. It's the intersection of AI, applicant tracking systems, otherwise known as ATSs, and the future of getting hired and how it's changing. For the most part of the past 40 years, which I've been in this industry, getting a professional job followed a fairly predictable formula. You built a resume, you applied for a job, a human being read it, and if things went well, you had a conversation. But today, something very different is happening. In many companies, your resume is no longer read by a person, it's read by software. So I have with me Zav, our director of the studio here at WXRW. Thanks for joining me, Zav.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So this is a pretty interesting topic that's really new, and a lot of people don't realize it, that their resumes are not getting into the hands of people these days. So that's the strangest part, is that people aren't realizing that. They still believe they're writing to a hiring manager, when in reality what they're writing for is an algorithm. So here's where things really get interesting. So companies are using AI now to screen resumes, to analyze candidate language, to score personality traits. You get personality traits out of a resume now. Predict job performance, and even conduct automated video interviews. This is the weirdest thing. I talked to a guy today, and he said he hit an ad on LinkedIn, and the ad took him to the company's website and asked him to fill out an application. And he filled out the application, and then within 2 minutes, he was getting interviewed with questions from an AI program. So, and it's just like this is happening more and more. So, I'm wondering, are we really creating a more efficient hiring system here?
Well, when you said that, it sounded kind of great in a way, because even though you're not talking to a human being, obviously, it's kind of like dealing with an automated system when you try to reach out to, say, your phone service versus talking to an actual human being.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah,
at least you feel like you're making progress. Like, you can literally, you're going beyond the point of just throwing this thing into the wind. You're actually having an interaction, but you're having an interaction with a machine.
Yeah, with the machine.
That then probably takes that. Then there's a human being on the other end somewhere who's like looking at all of these results.
Well, that's what you hope, but a lot of times that never happens. So, and I know
it doesn't even get that far, because they have to meet certain
right. Well,
qualifications.
And the resume itself, the best candidates don't always have the best resumes. And the best resumes are not always the best candidates.
Yes. Especially since, you could look really good on paper now with using AI tools. So probably the best resumes are the people who utilize the most AI tools in some ways. Yeah.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about too. You have to know who or what is actually reading your resume, and what the applicant tracking systems actually do. It's basically a digital filing cabinet. So, and ATS it's a sorting machine for resumes. So when a company receives 500 resumes for one job, and they do. And this is why they're trying to automate things, because going through 500 resumes is a ton of work. So what do they do? The system does several things. It scans keywords. It parses job titles. It parses everything in there. It evaluates skill matches. It ranks candidates by relevance, and it eliminates resumes that don't meet criteria. So, and they have scoring models. They have these AI scoring models. So your resume is getting scored now, and then you get ranked. So of that 500, where do you fall? And the company will probably choose to look at, 50 or 1/10 of those 500. And the assumption that they're making, and I think that this is where the AI systems, the AI ATS systems are faulty is that those 450 other people that are not going to get a human interaction or a human to look at their resume,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that there are people within that 450 people that company would have hired if they had talked to them. But the resume ruled them out. The system ruled them out. So the resume basically has now become a search document. That we used to want our resume to tell a story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we want it to match a database query.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
So it's like you have to change your
Approach. You have to
Yeah.
change your approach. So
Yeah.
so you have to think of what they're searching for. If you look at a job description, there's going to be keywords in there, and the AI system is going to be searching for, let's say, medical imaging or Python or embedded systems or project management. And project management, if you have on your resume project coordination,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't match project management.
Mm-hmm.
You know, systems engineer at one company, let's say you have 10 systems engineers
Yeah.
at 10 different companies.
Right.
That's 10 different jobs
Uh-huh.
for sure. They're not identical. So,
Oh, I see what you mean.
yeah,
Even though they're the same general qualifications,
right. They're looking for
it's
the
like
same
being
thing.
a chef.
Or an executive chef or what's another term for
Or
a
like
chef?
a prep cook.
Okay.
You know, or you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm just saying that every restaurant is different. You could be a chef at a hotel, a chef at a small bistro. You could be a chef at a fast food place.
Yeah, okay. I got you there. Could be. But the the evolution is really happening. I don't know. Systems are beginning to analyze writing patterns. I think
Right.
they're relying real heavily on these systems now. Experience progression. You know, what have you been promoted? Your career stability. You know, and I think companies have been looking at some of these characteristics previously too. But the skill stuff and retention probability, leadership potential, and cultural fit, that they're using AI to do that. They're creating testing in there, and they're making assumptions out of it. So it's something. Software is beginning to do something that used to require human judgment,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's a problem. So you know, what can you do about it as a candidate? That's something that we're definitely going to be talking about.
Yeah.
So I've got 10 points that I want to make about resumes, and we'll do that a little bit later on. So, so what still matters, you know, despite all the technology, here's the things that I think are really most important in hiring. And I don't think this is ever going to change. It's relationships. It's people that you know. It's people that you've worked with. It's people that can speak on your behalf, you know, and get away from the machine, you know. People also, you know, your reputation. You know, people want to hire people that they trust. So be careful what you post on your social media sites because they search
Right.
those.
Yeah, I was about to ask that question.
Yeah.
They're not stupid. They know.
Oh,
that
they can.
there's
I
a-
have in my
there's a
applicant
gold
tracking.
mine of information in social media about a person. They must.
If I add somebody in my applicant tracking system,
Uh-huh.
I can hit a button, find on LinkedIn, find on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
find on Google, and find on one more. I don't know which one it is because I'm not using it. But yeah, I mean, and that's been going on for years.
Instagram.
It's a lot, yeah. It's a lot more sophisticated now, though. Now we're looking at personalities. We're looking at work styles. We're looking at cultural fit with the computer,
Yeah.
with an algorithm.
Yeah.
So that's where I want to, and I can't stress this enough, the relationships and your reputation and working with people and networking and making sure that they know that you're, you know, they know that you're looking for something. And, you know, I just wonder if is this making the hiring process more fair or just less human? I don't know. And if AI writes the resume and AI reads the resumes,
Right. That's
You know,
the funny part.
you know, are we
Yeah.
actually learning anything about the candidate anymore? You know, it's different. So And here's a question too. If the algorithm rejects a qualified candidate,
Yeah.
which I'm saying it does, right? Who's responsible for that? Is it the company that's responsible for that? The software that's responsible, or is it the process? And I think it's the process. I think the company, the company is using the process, so
Exactly.
you can
The
blame them.
company chose to use the process.
Right.
So if they're cutting corners, then they're going to get what they pay for or whatever.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if they're using it as a tool to augment what they're already doing, they may actually improve their process because, like you said, it is a daunting thing to go through 500 resumes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. That's
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of
It is a
time.
lot of work.
So if you could transfer that time to something else, like interviewing, quality interviews with
Well,
just 50 candidates, the top 50, then at least you've gotten rid of all the excess. But you're right that there may be a good one that slips through.
Oh
the
yeah,
cracks.
there's a good one that slips through. Trust me.
Uh-huh.
And that's but the whole purpose of the resume is to get an interview.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a phone screen either. I mean a face-to-face interview.
Yeah, because you just said that everyone with this new process, everyone gets interviewed. Everyone gets a digital interview with an AI.
Not everybody gets a digital interview. You got to qualify for it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was that this person just kind of picked this job out of the, off of LinkedIn, and was immediately, maybe he or she met enough qualifications that it's like, okay, we're going to move you on to a digital interview.
Yeah. No. So I want to talk about the 10 ways that AI is rejecting your resume.
Okay.
So, yeah, you just got to know that your resume is being read by a software, okay, by applicant tracking systems and AI, and they scan, they rank, and they eliminate resumes, okay? So the number 10 reason I'm going to say is your resume isn't formatted for parsing. So companies are going to parse your resume into their system, and they're going to look for your name. They're going to look for your skills. They're going to look for job titles. They're going to look for employers' education. They're going to look for dates of employment. They're going to look for career changes. How many companies have you worked for in the past 10 years?
Right.
So your resume needs to be considering the parsing. And sometimes that means if you've had one company for 25 years, but you've had 5 promotions within that company, and you segment it down to the dates that you got promoted, it could look like you've been at 5 different companies.
Oh.
The AI could interpret it that way.
Uh-huh.
So the formatting of the resume is really getting much more technical now. There's
right.
taking away the creativity side of it. And if you put together, let's say, I had this happen recently where somebody used really complex formatting, graphics, columns, tables. If you have this stuff on there, the system may read the information and just think this is a bunch of gibberish to the machine.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful about that. You have to have keywords from the job description in your resume. Okay, and that's where we get into trouble, where people are taking a job order and then saying match that up with, make my resume match the job order.
Okay.
In the end, if you get a face-to-face interview and you don't know the skill set that you actually have claimed to know, you're not going to get that job. You're going to look like an idiot, and that goes to reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And you've wasted people's time. So
yeah,
do not do that. I hope you're not naive enough to think that actually is going to work. So I talked about before, like if the job description says project management and your resume says project coordinator, that's not a match. The system may not recognize them as the same thing, even though they are.
Right.
So, and the title, same with the titles. Titles don't mean anything, especially in technology. An auto mechanic is an auto mechanic is an auto mechanic, but a systems engineer or a network administrator or a business analyst Again, that's 10 different things at 10 different companies. So I think that's a weakness that AI has, but um, the dedicated skills section of your resume, if you have one, should make sure you have everything in there, and that skills aren't just buried inside paragraphs. So the AI, this is another thing that I learned about AI that I'm finding interesting. What it's doing, it's scanning for clean and structured skill lists. So this again goes to judgment calls. I don't know, but if you're this
skill
is
lists. You said lists of skills.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if your resume is too long, it's going to be a problem because it scores on the information within all of the information that it has. So in other words, if 50% of the things that you are doing are a hit for this algorithm, that could be good. But if you had an extra 50% of a bunch of silliness on your resume, it's going to be too long, and that brings down the scoring. So, they can rank by clarity and signal strength. And if your resume is overloaded with excessive detail and unrelated experience, which I do see sometimes, it's like, do not put it on there if it's not relevant to what you're trying to accomplish, which is a face-to-face interview.
Mm-hmm.
So some systems analyze career stability. So if you have gaps in your resume, that's going to be a knock against your end score, if you will. Yeah. So, but a human might understand that. Oh, you worked at this company. They had a major layoff that year. I remember.
Right.
COVID shut down that travel company because nobody was traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that gap is.
Yeah.
Now, does AI going to know that? I don't think so. Maybe it's going to be smart enough that it's going to be programmed to know that the travel company shut down during COVID or because of COVID. So, so employment gaps can trigger risk flags. A human might understand the context of why you didn't have that job or lost that job.
Yeah.
But the machine probably does not. So if you applied through a website instead of through a referral, here's the uncomfortable truth. Companies get hundreds of resumes.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are people that are on unemployment that are required by the state to apply for jobs every week.
Oh, wow. So it's just like
any job.
Right. It's
so,
like
so if
it's
you
like
have,
junk mail.
Yeah, it's junk mail big time. And that's why people in talent acquisition and HR are saying, enough is enough. Why am I spending my day looking at hundreds of people that not only are not qualified, but they probably don't even want to work here anyways. They just want to get their unemployment check. I don't think that system serves anybody well because it kind of tells, and that's maybe another show, but it kind of says, the government says, well, we feel good because at least these people are applying for jobs.
Right.
But they're applying for jobs they don't even want, and they're not even qualified for.
Yeah, yeah.
Who is that? They're just playing your game.
Yes.
I'd say find better rules to play that game.
Right.
But
yeah, that is a whole other show.
It is.
But it's an interesting one.
Yeah. So if your resume goes in through a human being, I think you often bypass these AI applicant tracking
right, but
systems.
again, you have 500 candidates.
But if somebody hands you a resume and says, this is my neighbor, he's looking for a new position, if we have anything in his area, I think we should talk to him because he's a really good guy. Versus go apply on the website.
Right.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think regardless of the AI element, if you're applying for a job, a single job that 500 other candidates are applying for, and you don't have a connection, you don't have an in, you're not the perfect person, then your odds are going to be pretty high that no one's going to give you the time of day, even without the AI. I guess is what I'm saying is if when you're up against that kind of percentages, aren't you kind of screwed no matter what?
Well,
in a way?
You can't worry about the other people that you're up against because there's nothing you can do about it. It's like playing a game of golf. Don't worry about the other guy's ball. You got your own to play.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. You got to really think for yourself and what's going to be in your best interest. And I think a lot of candidates don't want to reach out to people because they don't want to ask for something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, ask.
Yeah.
If you're unemployed and you're looking for work, embrace it, talk about it, let people know that you're still unemployed.
Yeah.
Because
there's work out there.
Well, there's work out there for sure. And if you need a job, if you have a family and you need a job, you need to embrace your unemployment.
Yeah.
You really have to fight for yourself. You have to advocate for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. And the other thing that...
ironically, also, there's the other thing, which is a small thing, but the people who do the hiring are now probably getting laid off because AI is doing their job for them.
No, not quite.
I mean,
don't
not
think so.
all the people, but I would say maybe if you had...
There's still the human element. People are not just getting hired by computer.
Right.
AI is being used to filter people down, to save talent acquisition and HR people's time and effort to go through all the crap that comes in.
What I've heard about hiring with AI, what's happening or what they predict is going to happen is a lot of entry-level positions are going to get cut because, let's say,
I got to hear this one.
I'm a kid who gets getting out of UWM, right?
Yeah.
And I want to get a job at a law firm.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do an internship at the law firm.
That's
and they're
going to
have me go through 500 resumes and pick out the best 50 to give to the hiring person. Well, they don't need me anymore. They can have AI do that for me. That kind of like grunt work that doesn't require a lot of intelligence or a lot of experience. Or it could be something else like, they have an intern go do a bunch of research on some, a deep dive into a bunch of books to find law about this one particular case that they're working on. And now you can just use AI to do that work. And so what I've heard is that the senior level people are okay for now, but it's all those entry level people who do kind of mindless grunt work. Yeah. Those are the people who are not going to get hired. That's what I've heard.
Well, and entry level people it's always been challenging to find that first job.
Yeah.
So AI is going to make it more difficult potentially.
Right. Yeah.
But the other thing that you have to think about is if they know how to use AI wisely, they'll be able to circumvent that.
Right.
That's the key. Don't run away from AI. Don't think it's going to ruin the world, because it's not. Mm-hmm. It's going to change it. It's going to improve a lot of things.
And you know what? If it's going to ruin the world,
it's not.
Well, yeah, I don't want to go too extreme, but let's say it's going to cause. Let's say it does. There's the bad that comes with the good. Use it to make it better and make it not do that. Rather than bury your head in the sand. My philosophy is use it to solve those problems that it will introduce, because it will cause problems.
Yeah, well, it is causing problems.
It's causing lots of problems.
What is the problem that we're talking about here? The good people are getting vetted out by AI systems. That's the bottom line. And I see it as an external recruiter because I know the type of people that my clients hire, okay?
Yeah.
And they're looking for them, I'm looking for them, and other people are probably looking for the right people. Mm-hmm. Well, when you get 500 resumes and you rule out 450, you got to wonder how many of those 450 were qualified and the company would have hired, or at the very least would have interviewed and wanted them in the interviewing pool. And the reason that I know that though there are good people in that 450 people is because I'm talking to those people. And they'll tell me, oh, yeah, I already applied at that company. I'm like, you did? For this particular position? And they'll say, yeah. I'd say, well, what was the result? Did they reach out? I got a bot. I got an automated response.
Yeah.
We got your application. You're being processed. And then
now they
later,
can't reapply, right? Now they've kind of like...
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, they can, but I'm sure the system says duplicate.
Yeah, or the system says, oh, you've already applied.
Yeah.
We don't,
Or the other thing is if there's another similar job within the company, and I see this now too, where you think, oh, I could do either that project management job or that project coordinator job, or I could do that architect job or the administrator job, because I've done both of them. Granted, maybe it was at a smaller company because you can touch more things at a smaller company, but and then you reapply for a different position. How does that impact you? And how is AI, taking that in? I don't know. But sometime the technology filters out the very people that these companies are trying to find.
Yeah.
And I said this
what's
has
the
been going on
difference
for a
between
long
the
time.
person who is qualified and the person who's not qualified, as far as like they both have access to the same tools and information theoretically? I mean, maybe I'm being overly, I don't know, not taking into account how reality really works, but in theory, your good candidate has just as much a chance as the other candidate who makes it into that top 50. Wouldn't it be the case? Or I mean, I don't know. It sounds to me like that person needs to get with the program, kind of. As far
That's
as
what
the
we're talking
application
about.
process
Getting with
goes.
the program, and
Yeah.
getting with the program is understanding
Yeah.
that
Yeah, it's
AI
no longer.
is,
We're not in 2005 anymore.
No, we're not. This is gonna be the new norm.
Yeah.
So and I found some statistics too that I thought were pretty interesting, and it's like I don't know. 87 to 99% of companies report using AI in their recruitment process. That was from Glozo. And AI does resume reviews, assessments, researching applicants, and more. And that's where the social media thing, where people post outrageous stuff or maybe political stuff, don't do that, because your social media is out there and companies are looking at it. So,
well, it depends on the job too, right?
well, of course, yes.
Yeah.
Applicant tracking systems and automated tools now filter out 75% of resumes before a human ever even sees them. So employers increasingly distrust static documents. In other words, they know that they can tell when people have used ChatGPT or Claude or Copilot.
How do they know? How can they tell?
Because it's just formatted too perfectly.
It's too good, too clean.
It's almost too good.
Yeah.
And I can see that too. I mean, I had somebody actually do a reference for me on a LinkedIn reference, and I was reading it, and I was like, wow, this is really a pretty good reference on me. And I'm like, this guy's not that articulate. I know him. He's not that. And then I started thinking about it.
I'm starting to see
okay.
where people write to me in ChatGPT.
Yeah. But this, we're going to talk more about this in the future too, because it's such a big thing and it's not going away. So the resume isn't dead, but it's no longer the star of the show. So build your relationships. So I want to thank you for listening. You've been listening to the Rowbo Show on WXRW 104.1 FM. This is Mark Rowbottom signing off. We hope you tune in next week. Thanks for listening to the Rowbo Show. Oh, man.